Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, I went to start getting the bikes out for the summer, and my daughter's bike has a bad tube here and a fairly crooked wheel. I have to do a video on that someday maybe. I used to work on bikes all the time when I was younger. I've done a few things here and there, but it's been quite a while since I've done anything, so I'm kind of having to remember how to do all these things and seeing if I even have the tools anymore to do them. I have a big bucket full of old bike parts and stuff here. I found a tube in it, which I have previously put air in, and I don't hear any air coming out. So, and you gotta be careful if you do this. You can blow them up real easy if they don't have the tire around them. But this one seems to be holding air. I'm going to let it sit here for a while and make sure it keeps holding air. Old Army can full of Harbor Freight and junk tools and a couple of specialty bike tools, and so I'm just using what I have here because I like seeing if the things I bring, like when we go camping, this is kind of what I bring. Make sure I can do this kind of stuff while I'm out, you know, out camping, and something happens, I have the tools I need. So I just bring those boxes with me, and they're not always the complete appropriate tool. Like this is probably better to have the right size wrench, but make sure it's tight and you should be fine. Stuck on the brake. There we go. Alright, and there you go. Now I know a lot of guys that really work on bikes a lot wouldn't tip their bike upside down on the handlebars and the seat, but this is the way I did it decades ago, and bikes are meant to be beat up, so those seats have hit and handlebars have hit a lot worse than concrete ground, so I skidded across them a few feet, I'm sure, at any point in time, so I'm not too worried about it. And if for some reason you still had air in the tire here, which there might be, and you want to keep these anyway, you want to get one of these. I know they make like the little ones you can put on the end of valve stems that are kind of like a cap that has a little edge on it like that, and they're pretty cheap, but these are, you know, $3-4 I think, and they work a lot better. So I would highly recommend picking one of these up if you're going to be taking valve stems out of anything very many times at all. And don't just throw away the valve stems. If they're good, keep them. I'm one of those people. A lot of people, you're supposed to change your valve stem every time and blah blah. I have spares. I'll change it when I need it. Anyway, so then we got no air in it now. I go ahead and push that up in there since there's no air, and you can kind of move the tire around and stuff. And we're not worried about this puncturing this. We don't want to puncture the tire, but it doesn't matter if we puncture the tube right now. So I'm just using a screwdriver to get this started here. And then I got this tool right here. Quite honestly, I bought this probably decades ago. I have no idea even where I got it. Probably in an actual bike shop. And it's got a curved end on it and a flat end on it. And I used to have two of them, but I don't anymore. But I might be able to get in there. It's just easier to get in there with the screwdriver at first. Get that up underneath there. And then you can take this and just use it to wrap around. Now if you were worried about your tube, yet again, you got to be careful. I'm not worried about the tube. Usually I never am, because you're usually taking the tube out only if it's popped. Now also, I'm changing it with a different tire. If you plan on fixing this with a patch or something like that, then you would want to be careful as well, obviously. Then you'd be able to figure out where your valve stem was there, because it's usually best to start kind of around where the valve stem was. Grab a hold of that and pull it on out. You only have to do one side of the tire. You don't have to bowl everything off. Just one side when you're doing a tube. And you know, I thought this would be a lot more dry rotted because it wasn't holding air, but it could be she just punctured it somewhere. So I might blow this up, find the hole, and actually fix it. I don't know if I have any patch stuff anymore or not, but I'll look and see. If not, that stuff's pretty cheap too. But because I have a tire that is a tube that is already good and seems to be holding air just fine, I'm going to use that. Now, like I said, I blew this up a little bit. You want to do that, but I got a little bit too much in here. So I got to about where I want it, maybe a little bit too much, but this is pretty easy. You don't want it completely flat, because then you end up with it getting all twisted inside the tube or inside the tire. Then you want to make sure, yet again, valve stem is pretty close to where the valve stem needs to be. And then just take and shove your tube on in there. Try not to twist it. You're going to go one side, then the other. It's going to get a little bit twisted in there, but it'll find its way if you have it semi-blown up like this. Just be as careful as you can. And luckily I haven't torn apart my welding table yet, so those of you that are into welding, go check out my channel, because I have some welding stuff probably coming up here fairly soon. Alright, and we got our valve stem sticking out right there, the hole's right here. You obviously need to put that in there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and just take the tire, and I'm going to stick my thumb there. And you can usually do this by hand without any problem, especially if it's an older tire like this one. Just keep holding your main spot there and push on it. Be careful, if you push too hard you might pop it off the other side. Done that before. And you want to be careful you don't pinch the inner tube in there. Now, so we got the valve stem here. We want to make sure you can kind of rotate the wheel inside there like that. You want to make sure your valve stem is good and straight in there best you can, and if it's not, rotate one way or the other until it's straight. Now, because there's a little bit of air in there, it should hold it in a little bit too. Oop. So, oop, but it didn't. So if you can't get it to do that, then you just kind of hold on to the tire right here. Hopefully I don't bounce you around so much you can't see. It's kind of hard to work around you, but now see, I can push on that, throw a little bit of air in. Now you see it's off kilter. I'm going to take and move, if I can get it, this a little bit, which I may have too much. So I'm going to pull some air out. Everything doesn't go right the first time. I can move this a little bit here. There we go. Stick that back in there. And do it all again here. I'm going to make sure that's coming out. You guys are just kind of in my way, so I keep banging around. Now, we're going to do it again. Got to hold on to the other side of the tire here. Okay, that's getting straighter. It doesn't seem like it's out far enough to me. Could just be that this has a smaller valve stem than the other one. And you don't want to put it in like all at once. Kind of give it a chance to get its seat, so to speak, so that if anything is twisted in there, you're not having any problems. Now, somewhere on here it'll say how many PSI. Max load 50 PSI here. I tend to run them less than that, but I'm only at like 30, so I'll bring it up to 50 just to see where we're at. Make sure we don't have any holes. It'll hold what it needs to hold if it needs to. If you're riding on the roads, 50 PSI is alright, but if you're doing dirt, I wouldn't recommend that hard personally. But yet again, that's your responsibility to figure out what you like. If you get it too low, you can pop a bead. If you get it too hard, it's not a very good ride. So that's how you change an inner tube in a tire. I'm sure there'll be lots of people telling me I did a horrible job, but seems like every time I do anything with a tire, I get lots of comments. But that's neither here nor there. That's how I do it. If you don't like the way I did it, don't do it. Alright, this is Sam, Jack of all, master of none. You all have a good one.